What's up, my friends? Carpo here, back at it. I'm actually taking a week off of comment sections and YouTube, comments and Facebook, but I'm still going to make a video because I feel like I have certain things that I just need to unload, and I realize that it's like a therapy, It's really funny. I walked out here. Yeah, I may or may not upload this video. Who knows? I made one the other day, and I just decided not to upload it. It was more for just getting it out there, and I'll probably end up erasing it. But I grabbed this off the floor in there. It's a pound puppy. And I got this pound puppy in 1986 from my parents, obviously. And we lived in Milwaukee, Oregon at that time, kind of by Oregon City, Portland area. And I was thinking, that makes it 30 years old. I've had this thing for 30 years, and then as I'm walking out here, I spill some of my drink on it. So I'm sitting here with my my Jaeger and Hansons, my dog, my bong, my phone, my vape, and my thoughts. And there's been a lot on my mind in the last couple weeks. It's been a crazy, I guess I just have to say crazy election season, because that seems to be the instigator of the drama. And I suppose there's good reason why I've refrained from talking too much about it. I've mentioned my politics a little bit and made a couple of videos on how I feel, but not as much as I feel like I need to. But I feel like it will go... The people, let's just put it this way. I know how the human mind works enough to know that when I have an idea, or I believe a certain thing, that some people are going to agree and some people aren't. It doesn't mean that the people who aren't are idiots, and often, if the situation warrants, perhaps I'm an idiot. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about on some things, and I can admit that. I understand. But with the current state of affairs, I'm almost left just dumbfounded by people's willingness to overlook so many crucial aspects of the character of a person in order to make him president. And I promise this video won't be a bash on Trump. I'm not going there anymore. And it's not worth it. The things that he's said and done are one thing, but after he's in office now, a lot of people are saying, hey, give him a chance. Fine, give him a chance. But already within the first week, he's surrounded himself with the same old swamp masters that he claimed he was going to try to get rid of in Washington. And my belief is that he's going to be just as crooked and corrupt as any other politician. But there's something different about it, It's not just another guy in there in office. This whole election has opened up a Pandora's box of people's emotions and feelings. And this is a lot of what I've been thinking about over the last few days. How on earth did this happen? How did we get here? How did we actually allow a reality star TV host who is just so engulfed in himself, the most egotistical person you can imagine in the world, and believe his propaganda? And I think that America was ready to watch an election like a movie, and we did. And people were able to vote based on how they felt about about the candidates, but most of all, we were kind of stuck without any real choice for a lot of us. Hillary Clinton was the worst candidate I could have possibly imagined, except for Trump. And I would have I wrote in Bernie Sanders, and I would have readily voted for Bernie, and he should have been up there. But it doesn't matter. He wasn't. And it doesn't mean he would have won either. Because Trump played on a lot of fears, and he played his cards well to get people to vote for him. Wherever he went, he surrounded himself with whatever the environment, required. If he was with the Christians, he was catering to their needs. He was trying to make himself look as good as he possibly could to America. And now, it's almost like a comic book is unfolding. It's like someone said, now, apparently Obama says that Trump needs a little more help, so he's going to have extra time to help show him around the White House and show him the ropes. And basically, Donald Trump is Obama's apprentice now. So, I think just that's the irony in that is just hilarious to me. But I think that it's going to humble the guy a lot. He's totally confused, has no idea what to do. He can't separate business from, work. And, deep down inside, I think that he probably has an inkling of understanding of what is right to an extent. I don't think he's a fool. I think that he just knows that by playing the good guy, you never win, and that's how he won, is by playing the bad guy. But the good guy for people who want to protect themselves. So, we end up, welcome to office, dude. Good luck. But on to the other aspect of the people that are now in office. I'm more concerned with them than Trump. In other words, Trump has paled in comparison to now the fact that the Republicans run the House and the Senate, and that they want to elect someone who is like Justice Scalia to put into the Supreme Court. And personally, those who are trying to say, well, we're not racist, we're not sexist, no, everybody isn't. But enough people are to where that affects and seems to have a strong effect on people's opinions about policy. And it's easy to want to kick out, well, I don't know, I guess it's easy for some people to want to just boot immigrants. But for me, it's just ludicrous. I don't understand how... Here's the thing. I heard a story earlier about... I've been hearing this in a few places, that Obama... They say that Obama, of course, is, under his administration, there have been more drone strikes. And from what they're saying, he's actually deported more illegal immigrants during his term than any other president in history. So I had to go look up the details, because I wanted to know, of course, As soon as I hear that, I think, well, probably true. However, it was Bush who left Obama with the Patriot Act, which made it very difficult to... basically, they combined Homeland Security and a couple other groups, and they cracked down on immigration. And they claimed that it was for terrorism, but in the end, they've only actually deported 39 terrorists over that since 9/11. In that whole decade afterwards, they only deported 39 people that were suspected of being terrorists, whereas they deported millions of people who, are from other places. But it causes some heartache in some places, and for others, it may be a welcome thing. In other words, there are some towns who have problems with immigration, but the majority of Americans don't. And then we have to look at the facts and figures and say, who should have the most say in these things, and whose opinion is most important? I mean, rural America has spoken. Cheers to you all. You were able to get a guy like him in there. And I'll tell you why. Understanding the Electoral College means that there's only certain votes that they have to get. There's only certain states that a candidate actually has to affect in order to get enough electoral votes to plow through. And that's what he did. He played the Electoral College. And the funny thing is that he's praising it, oh, I won fair and square. But he didn't win the popular vote. And the funny thing is, he's actually lost by a wider margin than a lot of other presidents. And it's not really being talked about because it's kind of he is president, that's just how it is. And I've stayed away from the whole... I haven't been watching videos pertaining to Trump himself over the last few days. I've just been trying to avoid any of the political aspects of it, but it's hard not to run into things. You know, I found out during this campaign, you know, it's pretty messed up. There was so much bullshit news. And I think John Oliver talked about it, but there was a company, I can't remember what country they were from. They started a fake news channel and started putting out fake ads on Facebook. And when they were asked about it, they said it's because they knew that a good way to make money was to create sensationalist articles about Trump or relating to the Trump presidency. And they're the ones who said, you know, people turning up dead under Clinton's administration, yada, yada, yada. A whole bunch of bullshit news that circulated on Facebook and elsewhere. And the people ate it up and they repeated it. And it was Trump himself who was saying, you know, well, I don't know, I just heard it on the internet. And that's what people, that's the average person. That's where they get their news. All of us hear these stories. And I've become very wary, and I make sure to Google facts and figures. And even then, you know, you don't know how accurate they are. But at least you can say you looked it up and tried, you know. It's crazy. It's just fucking crazy out there. What a world to live in, you know. Right now, it's like, it's really no different than it was before. And having, you know, the Trump in office, it's only mentally different for people at the moment. But I think that they're going to actually physically feel it, whether it be in their pocketbooks or in, the, you know, their rights. When he said he was going to open up libel laws and to sue media when they said bad things about him, I mean, that was just the moment. I just was stunned by the stupidity of that guy. Like, there's no libel laws to open up. You can't. They don't exist because we have something called free speech that we use as Americans. You know, it's like that. You know, it's one of those constitutional rights. Now I know that the liberal media has been just as bad. They fucked themselves. Democrats completely fucked themselves on this one. And the liberals have just made themselves look like idiots for years. But only during this election did they actually stoop to the level where Clinton wanted to win so bad she screwed over Bernie Sanders. And, holy shit, man. That was a big mistake. I've been thinking about that a lot, too. If Bernie had won, would it really make that much of a difference? Or would he be able to change things? My thought, and this is just my belief and speculation, is that he has every intention in his heart to do only good things for Americans. And for the world. And to me, he's the noblest of all the candidates. However, the question isn't whether you're noble. It's whether good guys finish last like they usually do, and you'll just get trampled by the Congress and Senate. And that's what happened to Obama. Not to beat a dead horse, but the GOP told Obama when he got into office, they said they're going to block every bill he tries to put through. And they blocked over 500 bills. These 500 bills that Obama tried to sign. And they were helpful. You can look them up. A lot of them would have helped veterans, middle-class families. And it was out of stubbornness that the GOP blocked them. I think that's why the Republicans have lost my respect. They never really had it, but I always had this kind of balanced view. I'm an independent thinker, obviously. I'm not a Democrat. I really hate that we have a system that we have, but, you know, it is what it is. Maybe, you know, viva la revolution, right? I mean, the American people obviously are going to have to step up and show their discontent. I think it would have happened to whichever candidate won. I think that we're just tired of the same old, same old. It's almost like you dream that you wake up and people one day just start respecting one another and understanding one another better than we do. I don't know. Some days I firmly believe that we have a chance to better ourselves, and then the next day it's just like, what? How? I mean, and the realization that all humans are just hairless apes with clothes on and language, I mean, that's one that I've already come to terms with, decades ago, but it still haunts me, every time it comes to mind, when I realize what we really are, and I'd say it's at least daily or at least weekly, once, that I stop and realize that everybody around me, the only thing that sets us apart from animals is our ability to convey messages through language. Language is something that is just overwhelmingly, it's not ignored. I guess I'm not sure of the word to describe it. It's just maybe marginalized in a way. It really is consciousness in a way. It's what makes us conscious. In other words, okay, when you're thinking things, and this isn't to get too far off track here, but when you're thinking about things, you have conscious thoughts flowing through your mind, and often they are in words. Okay, they're in words, metaphors, shapes, or symbols. But when you're storing these memories, you're storing certain facts and figures. Sometimes it's math, sometimes it's language, but that's what sets us apart from, animals. Because I know that animals are conscious too. It's like animals in some ways are more conscious than a lot of humans that I come across. I have a few cats and I've had a few dogs. I have my dog Juno. When I talk to him, I know that the dog understands. And most dog owners who have dogs, especially if they're older dogs and they've had them for a long time, there's a certain connection there. And I can just have a thought or an idea, and I must express it in my face because my dog knows what I'm thinking and, will respond as such. And, or if I have a certain tone, but I can tell that he's thinking things through. There's... Animals think about things. Should I do this? Should I not? But we set ourselves apart. We really think that we're more than hairless apes, and we are apes, with an orangutan as our leader. I'm sorry, I had to throw that in there. It just popped into my head. Oh God, I can't even believe it. It just blows my mind. I'll tell you this much. I'll give Trump a chance, alright? Because I don't have a choice. But more because I don't have anything, I'm going to be brutally honest here. I don't have anything vested in this country. I'm a patriot only to the portions of this country that support the people, not the ones that are for selfish interests or that marginalize certain groups or are judgmental, stereotyping, whole cultures. There are a lot of different things. I don't have anything vested in this country because it doesn't seem to have an interest in its people. So when Donald Trump takes office, on one hand, it'll be kind of a disappointment to see such a pathetic, ignorant man who has a very limited vocabulary, who defends his hands, who sent a letter to a guy who insulted his hands, sent a letter of his hands circled in gold Sharpie and said, "See, not that small." And this was like years after the article ran. I mean, this guy has a serious mental problem in the way he responds to people. And we're talking about a person who's a representative. So this is as if you hire a PR guy for your company, because we know that's basically what the president is. They have certain powers, constitutional powers, and they have powers outside to declare war, to push the button, but also there is a lot involved with Congress to make huge changes. But if the person is unstable, it's difficult to work with them. If they're unintelligent, which I don't think he's dumb, I just know that he's... let's just say he lacks the temperament that he claims he has. Such a great temperament. By the mere fact of talking about how great you are all the time, and talking about how you can do this and you can do that, Americans believe that, intention is a lot, but it's not everything. Just because you think you're going to be able to fix the world doesn't mean you can. And I think that he's going to realize the world's more complicated, and I'm kind of sit in the back and giggle and watch as, everything falls apart underneath us. Because there's nothing I can do. I have to at least enjoy the show. So even if you're watching a bad movie, if you paid for it and you're there, you might as well watch it. And I don't mean to end this on a negative note, because I have positive outlook of the future in my community. The people who live around me, the people, they don't like that kind of person. They don't like Trump. They don't like his cabinet. I read somewhere that something like over 80% of New Yorkers voted against Trump. And I don't know if that's true, but that blows my mind if it is true. I'm going to have to look that one up. But I do know that, of course, in the cities, there's a higher rate of people who voted against Trump. And I say against Trump rather than for Clinton, because many of them were like, God damn it, I have to make a choice. But there's no way that Clinton could be worse than this guy. And now he's backpedaling on everything. He's talking about building a fence instead of a wall. He's talking about, how, no, he doesn't want to put Clinton in prison. He even said, they're good people about the Clintons the other day in an interview. All of his bullshit's going to come to light, and people are going to just see. And even the hardcore right-wingers that voted for him, that really believe that he's a right-winger, not knowing that he was a Democrat 10 years ago and that he just ran on the Republican ticket because it was convenient, they'll never admit that they made a mistake. But they did. And they'll see it. And they'll know it. And Obama, a lot of people have asked me, hey, do you feel, how do you feel now? You feel stupid for voting for Obama? I'm like, no, I don't. Why should I? Because back to what I was saying about the higher drone strikes and higher deportation, that's because we've had a higher rate of immigration. We've had higher demands to deport. And also, I want to tell you, 20 years ago, we didn't have drones like we do today. Drone strikes weren't as common. And you have to remember that the military outranks the president. Let's just put it that way. The president couldn't just decide to shut down the military. Congress makes a lot of decisions on this. We need a military. And so we're always told that just don't question the budget, just pay the money, And so maybe that's partly why I'm frustrated, because Trump says he wants to actually spend trillions of dollars on more military. I read his website, and it said 1,200 fighter jets. Whew, those things are a fortune. I think they're like F-50s. And then 40 new Navy battleships, as well as expanding to a new entire military unit for the Marines, a whole new battalion, and who knows what else. But here's the thing: either everything he said is complete bullshit, and he said it just to get elected, and he ain't gonna do anything, or everything he said is true, and we're in for a heavy ride because we're gonna be spending money that we don't have on things that we don't need. So either way, I guess in the end, maybe it is a selfish motive. I go back and forth. Should I care about my own family, myself, and my community? Should I give a shit about, how bad it's going to get for other people? I just will. I have empathy. I can't help it. I like people. I want to see all people do well, because I know that everybody has feelings. And we're all spinning on this little ball of rock, so... end it there. It's been a long video already, so I'll talk to y'all later, and have a wonderful